Hello and welcome to our podcast. I'm your host, DL, and I'm joined by my co host, Evelyn, as well as our editor, Kais. Together, we are the SFU Student Mental Health Initiative, and we're making this podcast in order to inform and spread awareness about student mental health, as well as destigmatize it.
This is a one-time podcast that goes hand in hand with our Instagram at mentalhealth_SFU. Our Instagram has been made to act as a one-stop hub for all students struggling with mental health issues and has many links and information about several resources available at Simon Fraser University. So make sure to check that out after listening.
All right, now onto the main course of action. We're here to talk about how to maintain your mental health as a university student in Canada, as well as speak about personal experiences. We want to open up more conversations about mental health because the majority of students struggle with it alone, and it can lead to detrimental effects on a person's livelihood.
Right. Overall, mental health in general is a pretty taboo subject. It can make people uncomfortable, and some may even find it offensive. When it comes to university students, it gets even worse. Student mental health is a large topic that finds its way into every aspect of general mental health. I found a report from the Toronto Star stating that 3/4 of students reported experiencing negative mental health during their studies during the 2021 to 2022 school year. And there was a CBC News article that talked about 4 suicides at U of T that took place in a span of less than 2 years. And there are probably even more suicides and attempts that are unreported.
I also found an article that discusses this matter. The University of Saskatchewan states an assessment completed in 2019 found that approximately 16% of students across Canadian institutions seriously considered suicide. In the 2021 Canadian Campus Wellbeing Survey, 10% of the 3,553 students surveyed in Saskatchewan said they thought about suicide over the 12 months, and out of those, 34% made a plan.
It is so upsetting to see events like this happen, but I hope by listening to this, we can encourage you guys to take care of yourself, because as cheesy as it sounds, it's still true. You matter.
Yeah, student mental health can range from all types of struggles. Some people may have been struggling long before they ever enrolled in university, and some may be experiencing mental health issues for the first time. There are so many factors that can lead to struggles during mental health, and we're here to let you know it's okay to reach out no matter what your reason is.
For those finding their footing at a completely new school and a completely new work environment, social anxiety may be your issue. You've been displaced from your comfortable high school with your familiar friends, and now you're forced to change the entire way you socialize.
Maybe you've moved away from home and never lived on your own before. Maybe you're isolated and that's causing you issues. Or maybe you're downloading social media for the first time and trying to be your own person at school. The societal pressures may lead you to self-esteem issues and, in worst cases, eating disorders.
Schoolwork can be another factor in stress and mental health issues. Bearing academic pressure, having a social life, and struggling with issues like anxiety and depression can greatly affect you when it comes to your motivation to attend your classes and complete your assignments.
For sure. In a 2020 article by Hernandez Torreno, they stated that the probabilities of experiencing depression, anxiety, and stress increase throughout adolescence and reach a peak in early adulthood, around age 25, which makes university students a particularly vulnerable population. With these negative emotions, we tend to cope with unhealthy habits such as excessive alcohol or drug consumption, poor eating routines, and low motivation to be productive.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to a few of these things, like being socially anxious and depressed. I mean, I've never been diagnosed, but I'm curious if I actually do have an underlying mental health issue. I think this could apply to a majority of students as well, who do not even realize they're living with mental health issues. Because I feel like a majority of people I know don't even go to the doctor every year, nor do they get psychological tests or help.
My family has a long history with mental health, and I've struggled with anxiety for most of my life. Though we caught it young, and I've found my own ways to cope with it, it's a never-ending struggle that can flare up when you least expect it. I'm lucky to have friends and family who know how to support me, but a lot of people don't find themselves in that same situation. That's why it's so important to speak up about this topic.
For sure. And I have also interviewed 2 students about their own experiences, with their informed consent, of course. And I would like to share that with you guys. One person says, "Becoming a university student hasn't been easy for me, mainly because I haven't been able to find ways to enjoy a lot of time with my friends. Many of us are starting to get married, become successful, working full-time. It just seems like no one has time for anyone anymore. The reality of growing up really makes me feel uneasy because I don't feel grown up at all. I have no idea what I'm doing with my life and I still feel like a child. Furthermore, when asked about what mental health issues they suffer from, they said, "I'm not a huge fan of self-diagnosing, but I think I might have ADHD or bipolar disorder." The next person I had a conversation with had me asking, "Have you used your school's mental health services? Why or why not?" They responded saying, "I have considered it, but there's just so much you have to do in order to contact someone. And sometimes these mental health services don't really help at all. I believe that counseling and therapy can only work on certain types of issues and different types of people. Therefore, it's not for everyone." In response, I asked how they currently handled their mental health, to which they replied with, "I deal with my mental health by rambling to my friends and asking for advice from a bunch of people. I also play video games and smoke weed if I have no one else around. I'm not sure how else to cope." I can relate to their experiences very much. Navigating life and going to school is so scary to me. It seems like everyone has their stuff together, but in reality, I'm sure a majority of us are in the same boat.
Yeah, and remember, it's okay to struggle and feel vulnerable. But if you seriously don't feel comfortable sharing your thoughts and feelings, that's okay too. Just make sure you try to take care of yourself and seek help when you're starting to notice yourself reach a low point. Discussing your feelings to a professional may help you alleviate all the emotions bottled inside, and it's nice to have someone acknowledging you.
So true. And discussing mental health in general can help reduce stigma, which can be a huge factor in stopping people from seeking help. The Center for Addiction and Mental Health reports that stigma prevents 40% of people with anxiety or depression from seeking medical help.
Wow, that's an insane amount. To add on to that, we can further reduce stigma by educating ourselves and others. I feel like there's such a negative connotation that comes with mental health, like being crazy or being dangerous to oneself or society, which is obviously not true. Mental health is such a wide spectrum that appears in various ways in different people. There are so many picture-perfect public figures and regular people that struggle with mental health issues. People like Nicki Minaj have contemplated suicide, Winona Ryder has struggled with depression and anxiety, and even Vancouver's own Ryan Reynolds has struggled with anxiety. Your own friends and family could be dealing with mental health issues, and you may not even be able to tell.
Exactly. This is why it's so important to normalize and be in touch with our mental health. In doing so, let's discuss how we, as students, can access mental health services at our school. Being SFU students, we can go on the SFU website to discover plenty of resources and information on the Health and Counseling page. There are also so many free mental health resources you can check out from organizations like the Canadian Mental Health Association, Canadian Red Cross, and Wellness Together Canada.
If you need more resources, I would recommend checking out our Instagram, which has resources from SFU as well as general sources from the Metro Vancouver area. We'll make sure to leave the links to these in the description.
If you are struggling and do not feel ready to access these services, that is totally fine. You can still try to improve your mental health by taking it step by step. I would suggest things like identifying the factors making you feel this way and bringing positivity in your life. You can do this by surrounding yourself with people or things that bring you joy, doing positive self-affirmations, being active, and just so much more. Remember, mental health issues are common and you can get through them. Healing will allow you to live life to the fullest. Our mental health affects every aspect of our life, including our physical and emotional well-being. The causes and recovery process for mental health are not a one-size-fits-all situation, so there may be certain things that apply or do not apply to you, which is totally okay.
And that's all we have to say today. Thank you for tuning in, and make sure to check the description for more information as well as links to several resources. We really advise you to do research on your own and reach out for help if you need it. There is an entire community ready to have your back and support you if you just let them in. Take advantage of the resources available to you, and if you don't need them, recommend them to a friend. Thank you again. This is the SFU Student Mental Health Initiative.